The trip. The start of every summer, me and my friends Sam and Dave take a kayak trip upriver and find a place to camp and do a little fishing. We've been doing this since we were children when we would come up with our fathers. Now that the three of us are grown, we've continued the tradition. It was a Saturday. We decided to head out. I picked up Sam. We grabbed some supplies at the store, then got Dave and headed toward the river. We were on the river by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and by 3 we reached the cove we always stopped at. We pulled the kayaks up on land and walked a few feet into the woods, where we set up camp in a small clearing we always use. It had looked like someone had recently been there, which was strange because we didn't think anyone else knew about this place. The sun was starting to set, so Sam and Dave set up the tents, and I started up the fire and began to cook supper. We sat around the fire catching up on each other's lives over the past year and reminiscing of old times. As we were talking, Sam brought up the snuffed-out fire that was here before we set up camp. As we were in the middle of talking about it, we could hear a branch snap in the distance. Sam jumped up quick. "Who's there?" he shouted. "We have a gun. Show yourself or leave us alone." We waited a few seconds, and nothing. Just then a squirrel came out of the darkness. We howled in laughter. "Oh, Sam, look at that scary creature there. Better get your gun before it gets you," me and Dave joked. Also, "What the hell is wrong with you, Sam? We don't have a gun. Don't say that crap." "Yeah, well, if someone was out there, it would be better if they thought we did." We laughed off the noise and enjoyed the night, drinking and telling stories. Then after a few hours, I went to my tent and passed out. I had the most realistic nightmare. A woman in black came into my tent and started whispering in my ear. It seemed it was a strange chanting or incantation, but it was in a language I couldn't understand. I looked down to her side and noticed she had an axe in her hand. I sat up quickly and slid back into the corner of my bed, my back pushing up against the tent. She slowly raised her bony finger to her lips, motioning me to be silent. She then turned and left my tent. I crept forward in my bed and looked outside. I saw Sam walking up the trail, probably coming back from using the bathroom. As he was going back into his tent, she came out of nowhere and drove the axe into his skull. Then she went into Dave's tent and did the same to him. I could hear him screaming. Blood was everywhere. The campsite was completely covered. I tried to get up and help, but I couldn't move. It was the strangest feeling. It was like something was holding me down. "Son, let me stop you there. That's quite the story. But there was no sign of a woman. The only footprints at the campsite were yours and your friend's. You're completely covered in your friend's blood, and your fingerprints are all over the axe." "Detective, no! There was a woman. There was a woman." Death is fun. It started yesterday. My siblings and I were playing in the woods near our house, trying to find interesting stones. I found one that looked like the thing in the sky, the one that follows me around at night. I don't know what it's called, but it's beautiful. We were having a great time until we heard the rustling. Mother always warned us about the woods. She said it was a dangerous place, full of strange creatures that crawl around in the daylight. She used to say, "If you ever hear a noise in the woods that you aren't making, run and don't look back." So that's what we did. We ran as fast as we could. My siblings were ahead of me, and directly behind me were the creatures. I know I shouldn't have looked back, but curiosity took over. They were different from anything I'd ever seen, with bright, colorful skin, that flailed around as if it wasn't attached to the bones. I was so mesmerized by their appearances that I didn't notice the roots in front of me. I tripped. My siblings didn't look back, and I don't blame them. I wouldn't have either. They kept running until they were out of sight. The creatures were getting closer. I felt weak from the fall, but I couldn't just give up. I got up and started running again, much faster than before. After some time, I couldn't hear them behind me. Maybe they left. I halted and took deep breaths. Something hit me in the leg. I looked down to see it. A stick, stuck below my knee. It hurt a lot. The creatures emerged from behind the trees. The pain was unbearable, but something inside me kept me from falling over and giving up. The chase began again. I could hear them laugh. They were having fun. I was terrified, but for them, it was a game. It was starting to get dark. The noises stopped, but I didn't. It could be another trap, I thought. I kept running for another hour, I think, until I was sure that the creatures were gone. Finally, I stopped. I found a bush and snuggled in the soft leaves. I wanted to go home, but I was tired. I fell asleep. I woke up this morning with a feeling of dread. I knew something very bad was going to happen. They're back looking for me. I peeked from behind the leaves. They followed the trail of my blood. I'm glad I didn't go home last night. I see them, and they see me. They're holding those sticks. I wish I hadn't looked back. I have to admit, this was more entertaining than I expected, one of the hunters said, as he pulled the bloody arrows from the limp body of a bear cub. Told you it'd be fun, his partner said, as he pulled out a sack from underneath his shirt. Tomorrow, I'll teach you how to hunt deer. The Last Notes of Henry Fletcher. The following text was found on several sheets of paper that were strewn about in the woods near Prior Park Hunting Lodge, the last known domicile of Henry Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher, a mystery writer, had retired to this lonesome place in order to write his next novel. It is unknown whether these notes represent an early draft of said novel or are supposed to be a chronicle of Mr. Fletcher's own experiences. October 2nd. The wood does not like me. I know that this is a silly thing to say, but I feel that this is so. The old hunting lodge is nice, old-fashioned, and when one sees logs burning in the fireplace, it almost feels as if one has lived here for many years. Outside, however, the trees are crowding around the lodge from all sides, silent as ghosts, and somehow full of expectation. October 4th. The work is not going well. Strange dreams. October 5th. Small walk through the woods today. Eerie silence. No sign of animals at all. Despite the time of year, the foliage is still thick enough to shield the ground from sunlight. No undergrowth, just lichen-covered stones, dead leaves, toadstools, here and there. October 6th. This place does me no good. Had to interrupt work several times this morning because I felt that something was watching me through the window. Of course, nothing was there. The weather is getting worse, too. Gray clouds are covering the sky, but no wind. Tried to turn on my pocket radio, but caught nothing. I'm going to leave here. October 7th. The clock did not wake me this morning. Strange nightmares. Out in the woods, running away from something, not sure what they were. Strange misshapen creatures, hunters. Had the vague sense that they had horns and animal legs. When I awoke, I thought that something was leering through the window, but it was only a shadow cast by the moonlight. October morning, unsure of the date. Rain and wind. Tired, unable to work. The forest is making strange noises, something like a distant howling. I am sitting at the desk, trying to wake me up with coffee, but I keep drifting off into strange daydreams. Several unreadable words. Bloodstained goatish faces, howling their obscene prayers towards a godless sky. These things, again unreadable. Madness, but with a strange cunning. There are several more entries, but all of them are written in an unsteady, hasty hand, so that nobody has been able to decipher them. The words Shub, Nigareth, and Hastur seem to recur several times. In the last entry, the author obviously makes an effort to write legibly again. Night. I have been trapped. Drums are drumming in the deep woods. Must make a run for it. God save me. Save me. The hunting lodge was found empty, but in good condition several weeks later. Mr. Fletcher's current whereabouts are unknown. The light in the woods. Was there always a light there? As I peeked out my bedroom window on the ground floor, I saw a small spot of light. It was close to my basement windows. I groaned, knowing I'd have to go downstairs and turn a light off. It was already 1 a.m. I took the stairs down and got to the basement entrance. Nothing. I checked the basement's bathrooms and guest room. Nothing. I went up to a window and stood on my tiptoes. The light was there, but the basement was still dark. The light was coming from the woods? Must have been the moonlight. I walked back to my bedroom and went back to the window. The light was gone. Just then, I felt a heat against my neck. The world behind me was flooded with light. I would like to give a heartfelt thank you to the special friends of the channel. Your generosity means the world to me. If you would like to support the channel, the link is below in the description. Also, please send me your stories to duchessofdarkness27@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram at duchess.ofdarkness or Twitter at duchessofdarkn2. I want to thank you all for your support, your kindness, and your encouragement. I appreciate it so very much. Until next time.